Hey guys, it's me, Clayton. I'm the youth guy at the River City campus, and I'm really excited to be able to talk to all campuses. It's not something I get to do very often, and I'm just really happy about it. So, we're in week 3 of In My Opinion, and we've been talking about our own opinions, what we think of the world around us, of the people around us, and everything like that. So I want to start with this question. Do y'all know, can you think of like the cliques that you have seen in your school? You know, those other students who they just always seem to be together and they just seem to have a lot in common. Like you can really point them out, even like in the lunchroom or something like that. You see, oh, those are the sports kids. Oh, those are the cheerleaders. Oh, right there, that's the band kids. Things like that. Maybe your names for the cliques are a little bit more negative than those, but we're not going to go into that. We have this idea. Like if I said, oh, you know, those sports kids, they're really, you can probably fill in the blank, right? Or if I say, you know, the band kids, they're pretty darn, again, you have an adjective in mind, you know how you would describe them. A lot of times in our lives, when we see someone or we remember something from our past with someone, it immediately changes how we see them. Before we say a word to them, we have an opinion about them. I remember about someone that I knew a long time ago when I was in school, who, when I first saw him, he just seemed so angry. And I did not want to talk to this kid. I was afraid of him, honestly. I mean, it wasn't that he was, you know, big and scary, but he just had this angry face, and so I didn't talk to him. I had made this judgment. I had formed my opinion of him before I even knew him. Does that sound familiar? Is there anyone in your life that you can think of that you didn't take the time to talk to this person? You didn't take time. All you needed was a glance, or maybe even just a word from someone you trust, and you no longer trust this person. You no longer are even starting from a good opinion for this person. See, that's judging someone before you get to know them. You've probably heard the phrase, don't judge a book by its cover, and this is what it's talking about. You see, all of us have this tendency in our lives to look at other people and just see the surface and write them off. We see that football player and we think, oh, that guy cannot be smart. That guy cannot be fun to hang out with. But both of those things could be true. You might see the same thing about maybe a cheerleader or a band, like whatever it is, whatever those other cliques that you see. You might be making these judgments about them without knowing them. So, you know, this is obviously church. So we're going to jump into the Bible. Hopefully you've heard of it. And we're going to jump specifically into the Gospel of John, the book of John. It's the 4th Gospel. Hopefully you all have some way, especially now, you know, if you're on your computer, you can really quickly type it in. So we're going to be in John 8. This might be a story some of you guys know. It's about the woman caught in adultery. You see, Jesus was standing and teaching, you know, doing his thing, and the Pharisees, the religious teachers, came and they just had this woman. They were dragging this woman in, and they basically threw her at his feet, and they were like, "Teacher, this woman was caught in adultery. Now the law of Moses says that we must stone such people. What do you say?" That's where we're going to stop right now. So the image in your mind, I want it to be of just these dudes coming in, putting this woman in and saying, she is a sinner, and what Moses told us to do was to punish her. That's what they wanted. That's what they said. This is what we were told to do. What do you say? You see, that they didn't really like what Jesus was teaching. Because Jesus was teaching this gospel, this good news of love and of forgiveness and of not judging people. What these religious leaders were doing was they were immediately saying just one thing about this person. You know what's interesting? A lot of you, most of you don't really know this yet, but maybe when you've been riding in your car with your parent or with an adult, and they're driving, and they start getting angry and use some interesting words to a driver in another car. They're driving on the highway. Hey, you're a real jerk for whatever reason. Maybe they cut them off, maybe something like that. But then you've seen your parent or that person driving making a mistake on the road and saying like, oh, dang it, I cut that person off. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, oh. You see, there's this different view, right? When someone else makes a mistake, we see it as, oh, that person is dumb and they do not know how to make the good decisions. But see, when we make a mistake, when we do something that, we would get mad at, we write it off. We're like, it's not a big deal. I was having a bad day, right? Maybe you've had that friend who one day they just were not talking to you. They gave you the shortest answers. You're like, oh, hey, how's it going? Fine. And so you might find out later, oh, something happened. Maybe they had a fight with their parent or something like that. Maybe they had a fight with another friend. But see, if you're walking in at school and you say, fine, just to a friend who is trying to be friendly, you know what your backstory is. You know why you're angry. You know what's going on in your heart. But we're not giving other people that benefit, are we? So you see, these religious leaders were trying to paint this woman through one mistake as a lifelong, horrible sinner. So let's get back to the story. You might be thinking, oh, Jesus is going to rip him a new one. He's going to come in and be like, no. But he does something weird. Kind of hikes up his trousers and he gets down and he starts writing in the sand. Now, we don't know what he was writing. Could be maybe he was just doing the first meme in the ground. Maybe he was drawing people. Maybe he was writing names in the dirt. We don't know. But so the leaders are sitting there. They look at him. They're like, okay, this isn't arts and crafts time, Jesus. Can you get up and answer our question? He kind of looks up. Oh, sorry, I forgot you guys were there. And he said, and he kind of looks around. They're like, okay, we're going to punish her. Do you have anything to say? And what Jesus says is kind of interesting. He says, you who are without sin may cast the first stone. See, this punishment was literally going to be throwing rocks at this woman. I don't know about you, but when I make a mistake, I really hope people don't start throwing rocks at me. That's terrifying and painful, right? That's what they were getting ready to do. So Jesus immediately puts it in this new perspective of, oh, really? Have you ever messed up? Have you really never made a mistake? You see, when we look at these other people and we see them in this negative light, I think one of the first things we need to be doing is thinking, wait, haven't I made that mistake? Or, there's times where I like to do that too, or I have done that. And that doesn't make that my entire life. That doesn't make it me a bad person. So why am I thinking they're a bad person for that mistake or that situation, right? You see, that's what Jesus was trying to get these Pharisees and all the people in the audience, because it wasn't just the Pharisees. It was a lot of Israelites were there getting ready, picking up rocks. They had the rocks in their hands. But when Jesus made them think, haven't you sinned? They started dropping their rocks. They took these judgments, these things they were ready to throw. Because if we're being honest, when we're judging other people, the thing that we're attacking, it's not really them. It's the difficulties in our life. It's the mistakes we've made. I'm willing to bet that for a lot of you, and I know for me, the things that make you angriest are the things that you've done. When you get mad that someone is short with you, it's because you know that sometimes you're short with other people. If you're getting mad when someone is lying, like when you get really mad, it's because you know that you've lied. So these people they looked at that rock in their hand and they realized that that rock is meant for them. That rock is meant for their mistakes, their sins. And they start dropping them. And they turn around and walk away. And so you got to be thinking, this big old crowd of people looking at Jesus, looking at these Pharisees, looking at this woman who's been thrown to the ground and called an adulterer. And they've all started dropping their rocks, including the Pharisees, and walking away. The Bible tells us that at this point, it's just Jesus and the woman. And Jesus is still writing. I don't know if he's writing an essay. I don't know. I mean, he's still writing. I'm hoping that it's a good picture or something. But he looks up again, almost like he's not even paying attention. It's like, oh. And he looks at the woman and he says, where did they go? Has no one condemned you? And she says, no, they all left. He said, cool. Then I will not condemn you. Go and sin no more. You see, when Jesus said, you who was without sin, the only person that met that criteria, the only person in that entire audience that day was him that could say he did not sin. And he never picked up a rock. He had no rock to pick up. You see, he told her to go and sin no more. So I want you to see is that instead of having this idea that this woman is a sinner and that she needs to be punished, Jesus had this perspective of this woman has sinned, but she can do better, and there's no reason to punish her. And that's what Christianity is about. That's what our faith means. That Jesus went and took our punishment so that we don't have to be punished. So if that is taken away from us, if that judgment that we are due, if those rocks that are meant to be thrown at us have been taken by Christ, then I think we need to be starting to drop our own rocks when it comes to how we view other people. We need to be thinking before we make those judgments about those people around us, about whatever's going on, about that behavior that we hate, about that clique that we think is just beneath us or just we don't want to associate with them. Before we're making those judgments, let's look at our own lives. Let's look at who are we? Because let's be honest, everyone, we have sinned. We have fallen short. But that doesn't matter because Christ took our punishment so that we can know him. So when you go into small groups today or this week, I want you to be thinking of who have you judged? You see, that friend I was talking about, well, he became a friend. Even though I just immediately made this decision, one day I decided to go and walk up and talk to him, and he became one of my best friends until we graduated high school. We met in second grade. Don't let your opinions of people get in the way of your love of those people. We're going to pray real quick, and then I hope you guys can have a good week and have a good small group. Lord, first I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking our punishment. Thank you for taking our rocks. Thank you that you showed us how to not sit there and just judge people, how to make sure that we can see people as you see them, as people who have sinned but are constantly striving to be better. Lord, I pray that you continue to give us your eyes when it comes to seeing these people. I hope that you give us your heart when it comes to loving these people, God. Lord, I pray that you're with us throughout this week, throughout this time of quarantine where we're getting a little bit frustrated maybe with the people in our houses. And I pray that you just give us your perspective of them, that we start making allowances for them. Like, you know what? I know it's hard for them too. Lord, I pray that you be with us throughout our week, throughout our lives. help us to just love people as you love them and to not judge them before we know them. God, we love you so much. Thank you for all that you do. In Jesus' name, amen.